Hello and welcome back to SGTV. Today you've got myself, Jake. Ben's had to step out for this week, but we're going to be bringing you an episode focusing on International Women's Day. So we've got Suzi and Naomi from two different parts of the country. One's from London, one's from Wales. How are you both doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Good stuff. Has it been busy for you? Has lockdown treated you well, or have you had to sort of rein it in a little bit and then go from there?
I don't know about you, Suzi, but if anything, I've been busier.
Yeah, first lockdown, we did have a stop for about 10-12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But it's starting to get busier now, and we're starting to get the domestic again. We didn't have very much domestic. We had a lot of commercial.
Oh, okay. So people were a bit kind of afraid to let you in. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, they wouldn't let us in their properties. If it was outside work, then they'd let us. But it's starting to pick up again now. So
we've got a series of questions that we're going to be going through. Just really seeing how you found your way into the industry. Myself, I have been in the industry. I've been in for around about 12 to 13 years. So with that in mind, what really made you want to become an electrician, Naomi?
So for me, it wasn't actually something that I just fell into. I was doing personal training for years. Yeah, I always thought I was going to do sport. I did it for about 4 years. And one day I just realized this isn't for me. I need something a bit more out there. And I love technology and I love gadgets. So I just thought to myself, how can I integrate this into my everyday life? And mums know best. So I approached my mum and I said to her, what do you think if I became an electrician? And she looked me in the eye and she goes, I think you're absolutely nuts, but I think this is the best idea you've ever had. And as I say, mums know best. So I enrolled myself into college and off I went into the big wide world of sparky work.
And what about you, Suzi?
I've always been fascinated by electrics. It was my favourite subject in school whenever it came up in physics. I currently work for my dad and I have done since I was about 14. And so seeing him as an electrician gave me that little bit of courage to do it. But it wasn't always what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a performer, West End, things like that. But I found how competitive the industry was. So I started looking at the technical side, doing the lighting and the sound. When I was coming up to the end of my university degree, there was a job going at a new local theatre and you needed the electrical qualification. So I spoke to my dad and I said, look, why don't I go and get it? And then I've also got something to fall back on.
That's very true.
Especially at the current time when the theatre industry is completely shut down. So I'm quite glad I went down the electrical route, but I've always had a love for it.
And what Suzi, what sort of range of works do you get involved in? Is it purely domestic or is it commercial, industrial? Is there any sort of niche markets that you look after?
We do mainly domestic and commercial, but one of the main groups we look after is care homes.
Yeah.
There are about 6 care homes local to us that we look after. So if they've got any broken lights or damaged sockets, we go and look after them.
So do you do like the testing side of it as well, or is it just the maintenance?
We do a lot of testing as well, yeah.
And what do you think about that? Is that something that you're happy to do, or is it something that's actually a little bit more, not, let's say not challenging, but it's something that you have to put your mind to in terms of the results and the figures and stuff?
Yeah, it is challenging. I do like doing it. It all depends on what environment we're in. With the care homes, it's a lot more difficult to test.
Yeah.
Because they're mainly dementia care homes and a lot of them are bedbound. So we've got to be really conscious about how long any power is off if we have to switch it off. But apart from that, I absolutely love going around testing and finding faults. That's great fun.
Yeah. Fault finding is the fun one, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Is that something that interests you as well, Naomi? Is that something that you would choose to do over being asked to do it? Because some people, I always found that, personally, I used to love testing. I was happy that I was nice and clean and most of the time you was warm, other than testing a few outside lights and whatnot. But some people will actually prefer to do the installation work as opposed to doing the testing. Is that something that you find, or is that
So that would be
just
me.
take as it is?
Yeah, no, I prefer the installation side. I mean, the testing side of it is just something we have to do as Sparkies, so it's just part of our job. But yeah, all day long I prefer the install, prefer doing the remedial work. But as I say, the testing is just part of our job, so it has to be done to be able to make sure we're safe.
Well, and what sort of thing do you mainly get involved with, Naomi?
So I deal with a lot of domestic. We touch on commercial from time to time with a company that I work alongside with sometimes. We deal with some restaurants, but majority of the time I deal with domestic. And I love the face-to-face interaction with clients. You finish a job and you see their face light up, like their lights work, their down lights work, they're happy. So yeah, domestic.
It's always nice to see that when you've done, a sizable project, so maybe not even a sizable project, but where somebody's actually requested that they need a socket for a light beside their sofa or something, and they're so grateful. And
it's the small things that make them so happy.
Yeah, they just see a small socket on the wall, and all of that work that you've had to put into it to get to that point, and all they see is that socket. But at the end of the day, it's that lighting point there that they're more grateful for.
They are. No, I enjoy that aspect of it, definitely.
I know you mentioned, Amy, that you actually was into the fitness industry before and you was doing a PT. Is that something that you mentioned as well, your mum saying that you're crazy for going to be an electrician? Is that something that people never expected you to do, or is that something you was always expected to do as being a PT or that type of job?
I mean, for me also, it's like my background. I come from a very religious background, girls only school and everything as well. So me just doing personal training in itself was a bit out of the box. And then me turning around and saying that I want to become an electrician was just like so far out of the box that I think I just kind of got to the point where I was like, if I'm going to do something, I've just got to make sure I'm happy at what I'm doing. But no, what were you saying about the question again?
I was just saying, was it something that was expected of you, to do something that maybe your parents wanted you to do, opposed to actually going and doing something that was completely outside the box?
Thank God my parents are really easygoing, and they always just say, do what makes you happy, because I think it's 75% of your life is work. Their view is, so you've got to make sure that what you do for that 75% of your life is something that you enjoy. So they've been easy, thank God, and supportive.
With the International Women's Day, the theme for it is choose to challenge. What is the biggest challenge you've both faced in your careers so far in terms of electrical?
With me, it's my confidence, because there's four main ones, but confidence is my biggest one, because we're in the industry that is predominantly male. You've got to make sure you do so well to prove to others that you can do what they do. So I think trying to build my confidence up has been my biggest challenge, especially when you do get the old-fashioned sort of people who still say that our job, it's not a girl's job. So when I get that, it knocks my confidence down. And so trying to build it back up again is quite difficult, but I get in there slowly.
Yeah, I think as I was speaking to many female sparks within the trade, and a lot of them do say that the confidence is quite difficult because it has got that stigma around it where it is, they say it's a male's industry, but we're seeing so many more females coming into the industry as well. What about you then, Naomi? What was your biggest challenge within the career?
My height.
I can vouch for that.
I'm 4'9".
Oh my God, I'm taller than you.
But also it is, Suzi is right on the confidence and my height combined together, and what males see and what they expect to see. a really valid point is like, you know, we want to come across and be able to do what the men do, to not be able to look at this thing where we always need a helping hand. But what I kind of realized and come to terms with in like the last 4 or 5 years is that I'm actually all right turning around and saying, I need a hand, I can't do this. So I think it's also it's a very strong point for us to be able to put our hands up and say, do you know what, actually let a man do that, it's not a problem. And I'd rather exceed in something else within the industry. But yeah, my one is my height, definitely.
I could actually relate to that a little bit, because when I was carrying out my apprenticeship, I worked with a guy who was about 6'7". So there was me. I was quite short when I was a bit younger as well, and he always used to just be able to put his hand up, change a light bulb, or connect lights over his head without any steps. So I can vouch for that one. You always used to just say to him, could you just jump up there, or just put your arms up there and do that one for us as well?
Yeah, no, it's a moment, definitely. I mean, without my ladders, I'm nothing.
I could agree with you there.
Yeah. How tall are you, Suzi?
I'm 5 foot.
Okay, so you're in my realm. You know how I feel.
Do you think there's any barriers that are still, in the way for women to actually get into the industry? Or is it just that stigma thing of that's a man's trade and women shouldn't really enter that world?
Yeah, I would say that they still think that we should be homemakers or nurses or things like that, not going into a job where you get your hands dirty or have to carry heavy stuff. There is still that barrier, because if you go to college, and like I was the only girl on my course, you've got all those boys that have come in from school about 16, 17, and they see this girl on the course. They do take the mick, and you think, well, you're stopping this, you're bullying this person in a way, and it could be that barrier that goes, no, don't do it, sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah, there is barriers there. They just need to be knocked down sometimes.
I think they are slowly coming down though.
Yeah.
I think, how you were saying before about like how they expect us to be nurses and whatnot. And I was thinking about this earlier before this. Was thinking like, look at how that side of the nursing thing, like when males come in to do the nursing job, people look at them like, what are you doing? Why are you not a doctor in that respect? So I think it is very slowly changing, but again, yeah, there is a barrier still there. But we're going to knock it down.
In my previous job, we did a lot of work, and there was a lot of good projects that come off the back of trying to get women into the industry. And I think sort of the last 2-3 years, I think we've definitely seen a shift in the way that women are being perceived in the industry, and that the social media side of things as well. There's quite a few active females that are on there, and I think they're slowly breaking the barriers down, and I think a few more women, should I say, are entering the industry. So being an electrician, physically demanding, we've already spoken a little bit about that. Was it what you expected it to be from going from college to site? Was it something that you had your eyes open to, or was it something that you already anticipated it being?
I think for me, like my family from Suffolk, they were in the alarm business, so I always grew up around like my uncle and my cousins, always playing around with electrics and whatnot. But I kind of had an idea on what site was like, and when I was younger, I always looked at them and I was thinking, oh, that looks really cool, actually, I would love to try that. So I had an idea on what it would be like. If anything, I just got onto site and I loved it. I knew I loved it from day one. I was like, for me, the messier the better sometimes.
With me, I've been doing it since I was 14, so I sort of knew what it was, but when I actually went into it full time, it made me realise how much work there actually is, especially if you're doing fault finding and you're in a 3-story building and you're having to run up and down stairs. So it is tiring at times, and you have to be ready to pick up that drum of cable, because it's not going to roll itself into the house. So some people have got to remember that when you're coming into the industry, be prepared for physical work, because it's not as easy as changing a light bulb. You've got heavy drums of cable to carry, and even the equipment that we use, like drills and things, they're not exactly light as a feather. So you look at some of people that are coming into it and going, are you sure? And when they start working, they're like, oh, this is a bit harder than I thought it was.
Is there anything that you feel you can do yourselves to raise any more awareness within the industry, i.e. try and get more females to join up? Or is there something that you're already doing maybe?
I'm actually already doing a little bit. I've got my Instagram and Facebook page. I've also got a blog where I put about myself, about my work and things like that. But last year, just before lockdown hit, I got my first presentation talking for the local WI for International Women's Day, funnily enough.
Wow.
They asked me to come and do a talk about being a female electrician, and they absolutely loved it. And now I'm actually currently working on some virtual presentations for different age groups. So I've got my local girl guiding unit, because I'm a guide leader for them. They want me to do some talks for the I think it's 14 to 18s, and also the older group, which is the trefoil girls, so the over 18s as well. So so I am doing quite a bit of awareness, and also just getting out the van at new customers' houses. So when we turn up and they see me and they're like,
their face
their face just drops.
They're just like, really?
Yeah.
Do you find though with that, you're just saying that their faces drop, but I'm just thinking about sort of the older generation. Is there a niche market there for women to maybe help out with the older generation? They feel like they can trust them a bit more. Say that elderly people that are on their own, is there a little market there for women to go into because they feel that they can trust? There's always that thing about they're going to be maybe ripped off or something like that from a male's perspective. But
so that's what a lot of my work consists of.
Okay.
Actually, the older generation females going into their household, they feel a lot more relaxed, and they say it to me. I feel like I can even just pop to the shops and just leave you here. So a lot of my work is revolving around the elderly. It's really difficult at the minute because every time they see me, they're like, oh, I just want to give you a cuddle, and I'm like, do this right now.
You can't cuddle me.
But yeah, you are right.
I'm the same as you, Naomi. Our domestic clientele are a lot of elderly ladies. A lot of them are dementia, early onset dementia as well. So a lot of them do find it comforting when they see me.
Yeah.
We used to have one where I would sit and have a chat with her, and my dad used to go and do the job because otherwise we'd be there for about 4 hours chatting. But she always used to say to me, because sadly she passed away before I qualified, but she used to say to me, when you qualify, I want you as my electrician. So it sort of gave me that little bit of a boost that she was happy for me to be in her house.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Have you got any advice for people that may be listening on how they can actually get into the industry, or what way should they go into the industry?
Don't be off put by the fact that it is a male industry at all. At the end of the day, I think it's just unusual for males to have a female on site, but they are really respectful. They are always willing to help you, to try and progress you and better you as well, because at the end of the day, it's just something new that they're adjusting to. And humans, we're not great with change, but we can do it slowly. So I think that is just the main thing. Don't be off put by it. If you enjoy it and you've got a keen passion for it, go for it, please, because we want to have more females on site.
Yeah, I agree with you, Naomi. And one quote that always sticks in my head is from a film called The Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff. And it's, don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. And that always sticks with me, even when you get the little comments from people. That sticks with me because I know if I stick to it, I can show them that I can do it.
Nice. Do you feel that there's enough support for women in the industry, or is that something that, you know, we could maybe help with? Is there anything that you've got, any suggestions that need to help more support within the industry?
I think, as we was mentioning before with Instagram and whatnot, that the female tradies, the community is growing really quickly. And I was speaking to Suzi about before that in the last 2 years, it is growing so fast that, you know, if you've got any questions on anything, I don't know about you, but I'm happy to reach out to some other fellow Sparkies and female Sparkies and ask for advice. So I think actually the help is there and growing fast.
Yeah, I agree with Naomi. On Instagram with other female Sparks, it is there, and I do feel like I can ask, and I'm always there for that to ask me for help as well. But in my opinion, the trade bodies, I still feel aren't quite there yet. Because if you look at, for example, the NIC, all their advertisement has still got male Sparks on it. There's no female Sparks on it. So it's just, even though it's only that tiny little thing, sometimes you are put off contacting them for support because you feel like you're gonna feel stupid asking because you're a woman as per se, rather than a guy going to ask, if that makes sense.
Is that in terms of like technical advice and things like that,
Yeah.
bringing up the technical helpline? Now, you know, I actually did quite a lot of work on the technical helpline before I joined Scolmore, and you know, whatever question you wanted to ask them, they would be more than happy. So never feel like you need to be afraid of speaking to them, because they won't judge you. You know, I'd answer the phone call or the question that's posed the same way as I would do to a male as I would with a female. They're non-biased. They always have to give their advice by BS 7671. It's not, you know, give this advice to this person and give this advice to a different person. It's always the same advice, and it's always you know, technical advice that they would give you. They would never, you know, alter their answer just because it's a female. Which
I think that comes back to us on our confidence, though.
Yeah,
I think that is actually not blaming us at all, but I think that because it is a male industry and we don't want to be judged for asking, when actually you probably had hundreds of calls a day from males, but if a female picked up, you'd be like, oh, hi there. So I think the more females that come out, our confidence will grow, so we'll feel more at ease to ask them questions.
With the we're just talking about the support, what could be done to forge an equal industry? So, you know, we've seen it grow from maybe sort of 5 years ago, rumbling on in the background, and it's starting to get some traction now. You know, what else do we need to be doing to make sure it's an equal industry?
I think the same level of pay for the skills you have, because I know some companies are doing this, that the pay for males is higher than the females, even though maybe the females got a slightly higher skill set than the males. So if they can even it out, it would make the industry more equal, in my opinion. Anyway. Okay.
Anything from you, Naomi, on that?
I say amen, sister. I honestly agree. It's a silent. No one really discusses it, but I have seen it myself, and it sucks. So yeah, that would make it an even playing ground, and also just again going back to confidence, it would boost us to realize actually we do have
you do belong in the industry as well as males.
I think the only other thing I would say on the equality thing is I'm not a parent myself yet, but from experience as a child who was bullied for being myself going into this industry, I think if parents raise their kids to respect people going into whatever career they go into, it would even it out a bit, because it would stop people feeling that those barriers that we spoke about, where you've got the ones that are there going, you know, you can't do it. But if a parent raises them to say, look, they can do whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. It's not a boys do this job, girls do this job. Everyone can do anything they want.
Job, yeah.
But that's you know, when we were talking about earlier, like, what are we doing to try and help the industry? I mean, due to lockdown, I've not been able to do this, but I've been asked by a couple of schools to go in for Careers Day.
Yeah,
it's niche, and they would like to like show to other girls, females, that, you know, it doesn't matter what you do. You feel like you want to do it, go for it. So
yeah, I think that's important, isn't it, as well, is just to, you know, keep re-emphasizing that message. And I think there needs to be the likes of yourselves, you know, pushing that forward, whether that be on social media or being, you know, in the classroom, teaching kids that actually you can go and do this. It's not, you know, it's not frowned upon to do that.
I think it's, you know, if a kid has a dream or has a thought of doing it, then, you know, parents and teachers should encourage them no matter what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Off air, I know you mentioned that you was doing some invoices. How do you find owning your own business as well?
Well, I have just opened literally a month ago.
Okay.
So there is a hell of a lot of admin. A hell of a lot. I'm kind of just getting organized so that I get into a good routine and good habits at the beginning. So yeah, I've just been having some meetings with people to just try and get me in a good space to be able to progress and be organized, because I think a lot of our engineers, we don't like doing paperwork.
That's it. It's a difficult one, because, you know, with the admin side of things, you kind of do a full day's work, and then all of a sudden you've got to now do a full day's worth of admin to do as well. It's quite challenging, and it does take a lot of time. And I think it's one of those things that you have to put your whole life on hold to get it started. Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you, I'm really glad that we did this today, because it's like been the first day that I've been at home and been able to do paperwork, so thank you.
And breaking your day up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like in slouchies, I'm like, this is really nice. But also I do miss going out and about and getting on the tour. I mean, jokes aside, I'm literally going straight out to work after this. Yeah, so it doesn't really stop, but it's really difficult to have a balance of being able to do the job and then to invoice them for the money that you're owed for the job, whilst also taking the call for another job. I'm finding it difficult at the minute, but I'm sure I'll find a way and get myself in some organization.
With your, I'm not going to go too much into it, but like with your pricing and stuff, do you feel like a certain emotion to some clients and think, maybe I won't charge them this much? Or
yeah, it's I do a lot of work in my community as well, so it's just like I basically just have to say to myself, this is my set rate. As much as, you know, sometimes there's a part of me where I'm like, oh, do I just have to stick with my guns and say, well, you know, you've got to think of your overhead and what covers yourself, because if you walk home one day and you've just given all these nice freebies away and you're like, hold on a minute, I can't even pay for fuel for next week or whatnot, it's not going to progress your business. So yeah, there is the morals in you where you're like, oh, I don't really want to charge that, but I kind of have to stick with my guns at the minute.
And Suzi, is there any sort of ambition from you to branch out from working for your dad's and have your own business, or is it something that you're probably going to carry on from him eventually?
I'm not sure yet. It all depends how things go. I'm currently waiting for an operation on my knee, so at the moment, anything progression-wise is like on hold. But I do get a lot of people asking us, when's it going to be Nick Blakely and daughter? So at the moment, I'm like, oh, I don't know, but I probably will take over from Dad eventually. But it's, like I said before, it's building my confidence up. I'm a bit nervous to go out on my own at the moment. I don't mind if it's somebody I know, but it's when it's somebody I don't know or haven't met before. So it's just it's getting there slowly, but I'm not sure what the future's going to hold for us yet.
You'll nail it either way, girl.
Oh,
I have
thank you,
confidence
Naomi.
in you.
There's that
Thank
support
you.
coming through again. With your business, I know it's early days, Naomi, but are you going to be a massive company, or is it something that you want to just keep nice and small and just kind of focus on yourself, or would you like to bring in, some female apprentices later on through the years?
I would love to bring in some female apprentices, of course. As I say, it is such early days at the minute. I think I would want to keep it a smaller company within London. But as I say, I just don't know at the minute. I'm loving what I'm doing at the tech. It's such early days. So we'll see where it takes me. Keep watching the space.
What about cowboy tradies? So cowboy builders or cowboy sparkies. Do you ever come across any clients that have had that experience? How do you go about sort of reinvest or reinvigorating their trust within the industry, not just maybe our industry, but whether they had a bad experience with another trade person?
We've found it quite a bit where they've had someone come in who knows a bit about electrics and hasn't done a great job. And it's really hard because you can see how disheartened they are. They put their trust into this person and they've messed it up. We had one where they disappeared. They couldn't find them, couldn't get hold of them. So they said, look, it's half done. Could you come and help us, please? So we did, and you could see how distraught they were. And we got it done. And when we finished it, and we actually had to do a bit of alterations because of the way that the previous person had done it. They were so happy that it had been sorted, and they couldn't stop thanking us for coming and sorting it out for them.
Anything from you, Naomi? Is there any experiences with cowboy build? Again, you might have seen it or been to a client that's had a bad experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not unheard of. You see it more often than not, unfortunately. A lot of the times people will say to us, oh, we've had this electrician in, it's not working now. Can you fix it? And the most infuriating time is that then you have to start, really fault finding, investigating, which is more time on us, which is more time onto them. And, you just want to fix the issue for them. And you just think, oh, God, sometimes cheaper, the best way of saying it is cheaper is not better.
Yeah.
Please don't do it. You pay for it one time and one time only. Yes, it may be a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Back. Do you feel like that almost comes across though in your quote? So what I mean by that is probably a better way of wording it is having that personal touch on your quote. So going to visit them, explaining what you're going to do, the reasons why you're using X, Y, and Z, materials wise. Is that something that you try to get across to them? I'm not saying you're the most expensive, I'm not saying you're the cheapest, you may be middle of the road, but is that something that you get across to them to help them go away from the cheapest quote possible?
Yeah, for me, like if I'm going to quote someone up, 9 times out of 10, yes, I actually walk myself through what I'm going to do in the job and I talk it aloud. It just helps me. The client will hear what I'm saying, what I'm going to be doing. And naturally they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Oh, what's conduit? What's trunking? What's this? Yeah. So then I'll explain it to them and they look a bit more eased and knowing. But I think also is I try to itemize a lot of my quotes and invoices because then they know exactly where their money is going to. Sometimes if you just give them a bill for X amount, they're like, what is that being spent on?
Yeah, I'm similar to you, Naomi. We walk through the job and both me and Dad are talking to each other, saying what we're going to do. Right, we're going to do a chase here. That could do with conduit there. We'll put the board at this height. We'll do this. We'll do that. And you can hear that. You can see the client just looking at us, going,
"The cogs are turning. The cogs are turning."
and I think like that's gone straight over my head. But sometimes I do find when we do it, it puts them at ease because they know we're thinking about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it.
Yeah, definitely. If you know, or you sound like you know what you're talking about, you know, most of the time they're going to feel a bit more at ease because, you know, they understand that you are going through it methodically. Shows good, what's the right word for it? I've lost it. It's gone out of my head now. Competence, that's the one. That's the one I'm looking for. So yeah, it shows that as well. So thank you for watching SGTV today. Please do check out the rest of the SGTV channel on YouTube, where you can find more fantastic videos like this one, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. So thank you. Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye. Bye.
Nice to meet you, Suzi. I'm going to add you. I just realised I'm not following you. I'm going to follow you.
Find me, Princess Spark.
I love it. I will find you now.
Thanks, Naomi.
Take care. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.